hair looks fine, but the mustache is just all over the place today. Perfect. So, today I was talking with a girl I know, and she brought up something that I thought was kind of interesting. Because it's something I haven't really made up my mind on, so to speak. And what she was telling me about was something that I've had thoughts about for a long time, but I've never really had any clear thoughts about them. I've just had strong emotions. And what that was dress codes for girls in schools. And I'll tell you, when I was in high school, a 17-year-old boy, I was not an advocate for enforcing the dress code. I'll be honest. And it did not come from like a particularly virtuous place. It came from the fact that I liked seeing girls in sports bras. But that's exactly why we don't let 17-year-old boys direct public policy. But I was all in favor of it. But my girlfriend pointed out that nowadays seems like there's a bit of complaint about girls not being allowed to wear sports bras when they're doing athletics in some schools in the States and Canada. And I, one, think that's hilarious because I was in high school like almost 10 years ago, and this conversation is still going on, and people are talking about it like it's new. This conversation started in 2010 for me. By 2013, it was still going on. Then I graduated, and now it's still happening. So that's a little weird. But two, I also still haven't really worked out what I think about it. You know, from a position that I can argue for that doesn't just make me seem sort of creepy because, you know, now I'm 25 and I don't like seeing high school girls in sports bras. It makes me uncomfortable. I'm developing those like parental urges where I'm like, what are you doing? Go put some clothes on. You're making me cold. So anyway, I still haven't really made my mind up about it. But I want to share at least 2 or 3 things, we'll see, that I've just noticed over the long time that I've been paying attention to these sorts of conversations. The one that I learned first was what I learned in high school when the people who decided the dress code for the girls was in large part the student leadership council at my school. And the student leadership council was, I would say, maybe 75% girls and 25% boys. Quick math. And I was one of the boys, I was actually the only boy, who volunteered to be on the dress code committee to talk with the vice principal and the teacher who ran our leadership class. And so I went in there. It was me and like 15 girls. And I remember being the only person who was advocating for anything other than excessive restriction. It was a surreal experience for me. I went in there, like I said, not out of the good of my own heart, but I was basically there saying, look, you let me work out without my shirt on. Girls should be allowed to wear their sports bras. Or you should enforce the rules on me more fairly. But I said that bit a little bit quieter. I did say it though. But oh my god, the girls were the ones who were always advocating that the girls in the younger grades cover themselves up. Like, it was just constant. And I didn't hear a man suggest that any of the girls should have harsher dress code restrictions. It all came from the girls. From the girls who were in grade 12. They were standing up there being like, you know, oh, these 9th graders walking around in their sports bras and leggings during cross-training class. They just look like whores. Like, we can't let them do that. And I'm thinking, oh, okay. I mean, one, I'm fine with it. But two, you know, the vice principal is standing up there. I might leave her name out, but our vice principal was a formidable woman, and she was also standing there harsh-eyed saying, yes, no, I completely agree with you. And I'm standing there in the middle of this saying, what are you talking about? That's too much. You're saying that you want to restrict what these girls can wear just on school grounds, even if classes aren't even on? Like, if they come to school to work out in the morning at the gym facility, that you're going to enforce the dress code on them if you happen to be there that early? What? That seems so unfair. Especially because I play basketball every morning without my shirt on. That's my go-to workout outfit. Um, but no, it always came from the girls, and so, and I've never seen it come from anywhere else. I've never have. I'm open to being wrong about this, but it always feels like to me the people who are up there being prudish and aggressive about the dress code are these women in positions of power. And I just don't buy that it's patriarchal oppression of women. I don't. It doesn't make any sense. And people have tried to explain it as such, and I'm always saying, no, at no point is the internalized patriarchy of these women forcing them to enforce this dress code. It's not like they are going to be penalized if they don't enforce this dress code by the powerful men above them. It's like, no, absolutely not. They're the ones making the dress code. The men above them say, hey, can you go make a dress code? And they say yes. And then they get in with a bunch of the other senior girls and they make the most fucked up dress codes you've ever seen in your life. Thank God we had people like me. But yeah, that's the first thing, is I always feel like it's been the girls. I've never seen it from the guys. I'm sure it happens some places, but like, I don't know. It's enough in one direction that it's always confused me. Um, yeah. The second thing about it is I understand more now than I did that schools were supposed to be this microcosm for the business world. I see that more now. Like, teach kids how to behave professionally when they're younger, and maybe it'll translate into more fruitful job prospects when they get older. I get that. Part of acting professionally is not giving sexual displays, and it's like, okay, yeah, okay. When you hike your skirt up, when you do the whole crop top thing, it's like, okay, that's pretty clearly a sexual display. That's, I think if you argue, no, I just like looking pretty. It's like, yeah, looking pretty is a sexual display for men or women. You want to look attractive. The only reason you look attractive is because you're displaying that you are attractive. Like, what is it? What are you attracting? It's a sexual display. I just do it so I look confident. It's like, yeah, why do you look confident? Because you feel attractive. Well, what is it? What are you attracting? There's content there that you need to address. So it's like, okay, maybe there shouldn't be any sexual displays from men or women or boys or girls. Okay, I can get behind that. And I understand that more now. But that brings me to the third thing, which is, yeah, okay, but that's so unequally applied. It is so unequally applied in the schools. And that is one thing that I have always had a bit of a gripe with, is I do agree that there probably shouldn't be sexual displays, especially from the students, but also obviously from the teachers at that sort of education level. But then also, if that's the case, it should probably be applied to the boys. But it really isn't applied to the boys the same way that it's applied to the girls. At least, again, not in my experience. There's some part of me that wonders if it's because it's the girls tyrannizing the girls and they really don't give a fuck about how the boys look. But that's just a conjecture. But yeah, I do think that there's a problem with how unequally dress code rules are usually applied, at least always in my experience. It's always about the girls. It's never about the boys and their dress code violations. And Lord knows they have enough of them. You know, it's not just enough to say, okay, don't flash your balls in your ass and that'll be enough for us. It's like, okay, maybe you shouldn't be wearing, low V-neck shirts to show off your collarbones and shit. Maybe you shouldn't be running around shirtless shooting hoops like I was, if you're going to try to make that argument. Because I agree with that argument, I think. But if you're going to make it, it should apply to the boys. So yeah, I still think it's a complex issue. I don't think that it's right to say that it's just some patriarchal element in society that is trying to oppress young girls into some sort of fucking hands-made tale nonsense. I think you have to be fucked to believe that. But I do certainly think that it's not something that we've actually figured out as a society, and I don't think we've figured out our reasons for it. I think that what we do, we just tend to do what we're doing is just what we kind of think is maybe right, but we clearly don't know the rules yet. That's really what I get out of it. We clearly don't know the best way to have boys and girls sharing education yet. It's a new enough thing, I think, societally speaking, that we're still not really sure how that should work. But, that's just my opinion. I'd be happy to know what you think. Maybe you agree with me. Maybe you disagree with me. I'd be happy to hear why and how. Because, like I said, I haven't been able to figure this out for myself yet. But anyway, that's all for me today. If you like this kind of content, remember to like and subscribe, comment if you want. It all really helps the channel. And I will see you next time. Have a good night.